Guess who got brands talking? Brandlive.co.za.
Hello and welcome to Creative Ghettos, the show that explores various creative industries and profiles the Africans who push them forward. Each week, I spend 30 minutes unveiling excellent and inspiring individuals within creative industries, including but not limited to fine and contemporary art, architecture, design, food, film, and literature. My name is Kwanele Kunene. Thank you for joining me right here on brandlive.co.za. One of the most courageous things anyone can do is to let go of known ideas and worlds, especially when those same ideas are what have given way to tremendous success. Paul Sika, the revered photographer or photo maker from Côte d'Ivoire, has done just that. After years of telling the world incredible African stories through Technicolor photos, he's now recreating a world we really all should be living in. Paul, welcome to Creative Ghettos.
Thank you, Kwanele.
I'm so excited to have you here. It's almost like, you know, when I was reading about you and just about the things that you've been doing, I just felt like this is why I created Creative Ghettos.
Wow.
Anyways, let's start with, who was Paul Sika as a kid growing up in Côte d'Ivoire? What was your life like back then, and how much of that part of your life influenced who you have become or are becoming?
Well, 13th of July 1985. I've grown up. My mom is a pharmacist and my father is a seed expert. He knows about agriculture.
That's amazing. Seed expert. Yeah.
And I've grown up with games, tales. I was always asking for a story. I've grown up with a few books as well. And at some point later into the high school years, a computer, and discovered the internet. And also computer programming through calculators. I made my first games on calculator. They were adaptations of Zelda. Zelda and Pokemon. In smaller versions.
Yeah. And how old were you at the time? Because you know, at that time, when you're a kid, I can just imagine how many influences you're having from your friends, and to have that type of focus that leads you into creating games. Who were the people who were around you who were influencing that part of your brain?
Well, from the moment I discovered the Nintendo NES, I think it was in the early 90s. I think it probably was, early 90s. The focus was implicitly created by the amazement that I was seeing in those productions and game consoles. So it's the discovery that they allow at every play, for example, and also the fact that playing with friends increased the excitement and the possibilities. So all of that, in a way, had implicitly created a focus because of the power that it had.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. And you then became, you went into advertising and became a self-taught photographer. Again, it takes a lot of focus and determination to teach yourself anything, let alone, have that thing allow you to speak to people across the globe. What was it that pushed you towards photography?
It started with seeing a trailer of The Matrix 2 Reloaded back in the years, and it crystallized it revealed, and at the same time crystallized a will or desire to actually create films, because somehow I was convinced that I had the type of imagination that you needed in order to make those beautiful things. And because I was a student at the time in software engineering, I didn't want to jeopardize my studies and just suddenly stop. I decided to go towards the static photography in order to study the static image, because the static image is the unit of the moving image.
Okay, I did not know this. Cool.
And I was convinced that if I learned well enough the static photography, it would translate well to video photography. That's because the intent was to make amazing movies. And then when I went into photography, I realized how large, huge, vast the domain was, and I actually saw a pathway to express my creativity and imagination that I had not foreseen.
Yeah.
So I remained in it many more years than I actually expected. This is how I got into photography.
And at the time, what were the stories that you were really focused on telling? What was the most important thing for you to tell?
It's at the very beginning, I would point and shoot at everything and everyone.
Okay. Begin somewhere. Yeah.
So there is this discovery of the medium, of the tool, the camera, what you can do with it, and and you push it a little bit here and there, not necessarily even consciously, but you somehow, because you want to capture more and more things, more and more beautiful things, you understand the better also the science of the field that you're in. And at some point there was not necessarily boredom, but somehow my heart was aspiring to something. At first I wasn't aware of what it was, but I knew that I wanted to go beyond pointing and shooting at everything and everyone. And my love for storytelling that I've had since I was a kid somehow has come back, coupled with this with the remembrance of wanting to make amazing films. And basically it is this storytelling love plus the ambition to make movies using a photo camera that have translated into this style of photography that I've called photomaking. Photomaking being a portmanteau word of photography and filmmaking. So it was about learning and applying the techniques of filmmaking to photography.
Okay. So I read in a recent article about you that your journey as a photographer has ended. It's done, right? You've reached your destination, so to speak. Was this a hard decision to make, especially because success doesn't seem guaranteed in new chapters?
Well, it was never a hard decision. My mom is a pharmacist, and my mom is of the generation of pharmacists in Ivory Coast that were comfortable in terms of business.
Okay.
And I could have inherited the pharmacy, and because I could do it as well, I understand this part of fields, the scientific things. I understand them. But I did not go for it. When I was about to choose, I had one major question. The aspiration to create beautiful things, whether it was through software engineering and games, or whether it was through the path of filmmaking, this aspiration was already there. The fact that I wanted to tell beautiful stories. And there was this question that came back to me, and I had my answer quite quickly. It was in 20 years, if I go to the cinema, for example, and I see an amazing movie, wonderful production, and I come out of it with my friends, what am I going to think? That I could have done it, and I didn't, and say that to my friends? Now, for me, there's no I could have. There was, I'm going to do it. I'm going to go for it. And I'd rather try and not succeed than not trying and never know what could have been. And there is no I could have. You go for it or you don't. But there is no conditional speaking, especially that time doesn't come back.
Yeah.
So it's also linked to vision and belief. Do I really want that? Do I really believe in the vision that I have? Am I ready to give up on comfort in order to go for this artistic path that most of us, and even not just those who are in the field, even people outside the field know that it can be very difficult. Yeah. But I think it's part of life. There is nothing that I know of. There is no beautiful thing. There is no amazing thing. There is no truly awesome thing that didn't have its own price for the journey.
Yeah.
So it's about also accepting that although life gives you, life asks you.
Wow.
Through situations, whether you truly want it. So it was about saying, yes, I want it. Through, not just in the mind, but through actions as well. And through sometimes difficult moments. But even through difficult moments, the vision and the idea, of what is at a destination somehow lightens things up. It and you know that you're not having on your shoulders more than you can actually carry. It was always there. It was always possible. Just need to stick to it.
Okay, so before the photography journey ended, what were some of the highlights of becoming a photographer and working at such a high level?
From the beginning, this was my motto. I wanted to impact humanity in fabulous ways. Yeah. And I believe that storytelling can build up a person, a group, or even a nation, and actually give direction to an entire nation. And we know that the largest nation that we know is the human nation.
Hey, now. Yes.
So it's there is a true positive impact that we can contribute to. And one of the highlights, I would say, is that there was this young woman from France that came to visit Ivory Coast when I was showing my last works in photography. And she visited Ivory Coast, and because my exhibition was on, she also visited the exhibition, and I gave her and the group that she was with a tour. And I explained the stories. I told the stories, I explained everything, I responded to every question they had, and then she left. And then a few days later, when she got back to France, she sent me a message, and then she said, thank you, Paul, for sharing your universe with us. I had existential questions, and through your stories, I found my answers. For me, this is an amazing highlight, because it meant that the stories that we were coming up with, the stories that I was inspired, were not just entertainment. They were fun, but they were not skin deep. They were much deeper than that, to the point that the person said that it actually helped them resolve their own important questions in life. That's when I had the written proof that we could share what we had with the largest family, with the human family. Yeah. We can go beyond. We can translate that to whether it is different languages, or but we can now share it with the world with even more confidence.
Okay, excellent. I cannot wait to speak about the new universe that you're creating. We're going to do that after the break. We're going to just take a really short break and then come back and speak more with Paul Sika.
The station with the best music. Best music.
I love the music.
Best music.
This one is explosive.
Brandlife.co.za.
Lunatic, 'cause I do what I want, and I get what I want when I want it. You know life can be so ordinary. Boy meets girl, they settle, make a baby.
Brandlife.co.za.
Ladies and gentlemen, may I have your attention, please?
Brandlife.co.za is thought leadership radio. It's a new way to communicate your brand, your value, and what we think about your industry. Be a leader, be a voice, and we will help you shape your industry. Our radio platform is for thought leaders who want to share insights, businesses who want to create value for their databases, organizations who want to control their message, for those that drive change. Make your brand come alive on on brandlife.co.za, harnessing the power of talk radio.
Harnessing the power of talk radio. Brandlive.co.za.
Welcome back to Creative Ghettos. I am still being joined by Paul Sika, who is he has the most amazing story from photography, advertising, fashion, and now there is a new chapter in your life. Let's talk about the new chapter, or should I say universe, Ponguibou Studios. What is it? What is its vision? And what on earth is Transmedia Production?
The Ponguibou Studios is the new phase that I'm in, and I'm in with specific people, such as Jean-Luc Gosset, who is our chief illustrator, and the idea is that I want to continue to tell the stories of the Yelenists, and that I've started to actually tell in using photography. But at some point, photography showed limits. The medium showed limits. Sorry.
In what sense? In the sense that it kind of deals with real subjects as opposed to recreating.
We could still we could work on for example, if we have huge budgets, we can work on creating some amazing creatures, but somehow the free hand of illustration seemed a better fit than the capture of reality with photography. And again, just like I ventured into software engineering from pharmacy, or at least the possibility of doing pharmacy. Yeah. And I also ventured from software engineering into photography, following a particular vision and belief. I ventured out of photography into illustration because it just what the vision demands, requires. The reason it has always been easy per se, it has been easy to switch every time, is because I've been loyal to my vision, and everything else in terms of medium is a tool. So my loyalty is not to the tool but to the vision, and my inspiration. This is what I follow. So this is the reason it's been easy. Now the stories of the Yelenists are what we carry on with at Ponguibou Studio. The idea is that the vision has become grander. The seeds that we had during photography have been growing, and we can see the small trees that it is giving us today. And in order to achieve the vision as it faithfully requires, we need to become larger. We need to become, in terms of a number of people working on it, in terms of the positions working on it, the types of talents working on it, even the place that we're going to base ourselves in. For example, South Africa lends itself quite well to our vision. Yeah. And I have to say, more than Ivory Coast today, where I'm actually from, and where Jean-Luc is from too. So it's and there is this vision of transmedia, and transmedia is about knowing that a medium has its potential but also its limits. It's about using the right medium to tell an aspect of the story that lends itself well to that medium.
Wow. Okay. I've never thought of things like that. Yes. Okay, continue.
And the kernel, our first, I would say, medium, or one of our essential media today is the web browser. The fact that we can create interactive, gamified books, for example, stories with it. The fact that VR is possible. The fact that 3D is possible. The fact that we can color pixels. This allows us to tell interactive stories and with much more depth as well. We can engage people over a longer period, and the reason this is positive for us is that we can actually give them much more information about the universe that we're developing.
Okay.
So, and Ponguibou, that takes its name actually from one of the cities in the universe, is the home of striving to pull from wherever dimension it is the wonderful and share it with people around us.
Yeah. Now, The Boy and the Cauliflowers. Please unpack this incredible story. I know we spoke at the Turbine Art Fair when I said to you, where did it come from? And you, you were just like, from the skies above. But tell us about The Boy and the Cauliflowers, because this is one of your first productions.
Yes, The Boy and the Cauliflowers is the first completed production from Ponguibou Studios. It's The Boy and the Cauliflowers is a story is a vast story actually about a boy whose city is struck by an epidemic called the cauliflower disease, and it happens that cauliflower grows on people, and it has a vicious side, this disease, in the sense that it attacks the genealogical memories of a person. So over time, people are forgetting who the relatives are, and the boy in mentioned in the title, he's named Tio, and Tio is affected by the fact that his father has contracted the disease, like many people in the city of Nous, where he lives. And it is basically going through this, experiencing this, that somehow pushes the boy, Tio, to try to find a cure. But he tries with his close friends an alternative. The cure that he's looking for is not a cure that researchers and medics are looking for. Because at the moment in the story, they are hopeless themselves. Nobody knows how to contain this. Yeah. And so he has an idea with his friends, close friends. They want to go and find what is called the Nosotros. There is a legend in the city and in the region of New City that says that the Nosotros is a being so powerful that it can put an end to the epidemic in a fraction of a second. And knowing that those who are looking for a cure are not able to find one at the moment, this is the last alternative that they can think of. And the story is about this group of children that elect to go and find a Nosotros in order to put an end to the epidemic.
Oh, wow. So he's not going to be a single character. They're going to be more...
Oh, yes.
Okay.
We focused on Tio during Turbine Art Fair. Okay. But in reality, there are more.
No, because I was worried about Tio.
There is Vostra, there is Gagnant. Okay. And we have different species, for example. Gagnant, from the French gagnant, which means winner, is actually a rhizarg, and a rhizarg is this species, for example, that is related to actually rice and rice paddies, and then they have particular shapes, and at some point they become friends, and even the destiny of the rhizarg is linked to what is happening in Nous through a link that we haven't revealed yet.
Don't reveal it yet.
We have the amazing smart girl called Vostra, who has understood what the other medics and researchers have not found. She, by just listening to people in the makeshift hospital for the cauliflower people called Raken 1, she has understood the root of the disease.
Wow.
So
power to the young women. Okay, so earlier you mentioned that South Africa served as a base for Ponguibou Studios for a while, and has helped the process of creation along. Has your time in the country, because you've been here for 6 months, has your time in the country influenced parts of the book's story?
There are two types of influences eventually that every time we can recall. For example, we were based in the Rubik Valley, And when I wrote the story, although the characters of the story were not the first two characters of the story, Tio and Vostra, were already known to me. But for example, there is a valley around New City, and where I come from, there is no valley.
Oh.
In Ivory Coast,
Okay.
at least where I live,
Yeah.
there is no valley.
Okay.
But somehow the characters find themselves in the valley, and we happen to be based in the valley of Riebeek. So at least for a time. So I think this is the first obvious influence that I can find.
Okay.
And then there are other more subtle influences. Being an artist is also about being a sponge to your environment, and then giving back actually what you have felt through your production. As for a more subtle influence, I'm not sure, but people on the team, when I was telling the story, I do not have a clear example now, but several times they were telling me how relevant to the environment of Riebeek what I was saying, what I was explaining was. So
it'll reveal itself.
Yeah, exactly. At some point. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, so the team you worked with on this project was just absolute power. Apart from yourself, Ponguibou's vision was actualized by the likes of Jean-Luc Grosset. Am I saying that correctly? He's actually in studio, so Ilse Erasmus, John Reel, Mariana Del Carmen. How was it working with such a formidable group of individuals?
It was one of those. It was unexpected and beautiful, in the sense that we didn't know who we're going to meet, who was going to be part of this project.
Yeah,
and the encounters have been quite special. For example, some of them were across the road from us, and we didn't know that they were present. And at some point, we just connected at the right moment for us to be working on the project.
Yeah.
It was great to see how, for example, Mariana Del Carmen, who is our sound designer on the interactive storybook, she has just. It was revealed to herself actually through the project how much fun sound designing was. She knows how to sing. She knows many things. She's an actress herself, and it was beautiful to see that she just had what was required. And I personally, I appreciate drive in a person. Talent, experience, they matter, definitely, and they are not replaceable. But there's this other factor: how driven a person is, how committed a person is. This can somehow duplicate many times over their experience or their talent. Because they're so committed to it.
There's a willingness to not give up.
Exactly. And they just go for it.
Yeah.
And I could see that, for example, in Mariana. And I could see it also in Kayla, for example. So, yes.
Okay. So when and where will The Boy and The Cauliflowers be available for purchase? When is the more pressing question?
It's at the... Right now, it is still in development. What we showed in a Turbine Alpha was just a part of episode 1.
Okay.
The whole of episode 1 has actually been written already.
Okay.
And there is knowing how, seeing the trend that episode 1 is already setting. I have an idea of how far this story can go, and it is quite vast. And at the heart of our sharing of this story, there is this interactive storybook that we plan to make available in web browsers. So you would be able to have it on your phones, Android or iPhones. You'll be able to have it in your web browser, for example, Chrome. So desktop, mobile, tablets, and phones would be our target. So that we can share cross-platform this story to the largest number of people.
Yeah.
And we are still developing it. And we at the moment we cannot give an exact date of when it will be out, of when it will be released.
Mm-hmm.
But I can tell you what is my next move. I am working on putting together all the elements that I need to make a proper presentation to those people that I believe can accompany us on building the studio. And it is soon that I'm going to do it.
All right.
Yes.
So I have just 2 more questions for you. You were recently quoted as saying that through Ponguibou, you want to create a place where people want to serve a vision and go beyond what they know. I mean, I damn near cried when I read that, right? How do you suppose people go beyond what they know, and why is it important?
To go beyond what you know, you in a certain way needs to aspire to what is far beyond what is sometimes can be even qualified as difficult to reach.
Okay.
But an aspect of what is difficult to reach is also difficult to reach can easily be an aspect of something wonderful to create or reach as well. And the reason I want Ponguibou to be a home for those who want to strive as much as they can, is because what we envision as being wonderful is not something that is just given. It is something for which you have to focus. Something for which you have to dedicate yourself. Something that actually transforms you as well. It's you have to grow. You cannot be if the work that you're doing at some point is not helping transforming you for the better, and then there are big chances that you're not doing enough, or that you're not envisioning something that is far enough. It doesn't make you sweat enough. It doesn't change your rhythm. It doesn't endanger or make your run difficult. It doesn't pump your lungs. And it is when the most beautiful things are things that we don't imagine yet. Even what we imagine when we say that we want to go into a certain direction is just a passing idea. It's only when we reach it that we truly know what we were in the direction of. So it's about Ponguibou is about a place where you accept the experience you have, what you know, and you go for what you don't know.
Okay, so just the last one, right? When it's all said and done, how would you like to be remembered? Did not see that coming.
The thing is, I'm not interested in recognition.
Okay.
There is something more fundamental that I would love to achieve or see, or at least seed before I go. We are on this planet to contribute to its development. And for me, the most important thing goes back to what I said at the beginning and what has been my vision since the start of even touching the arts, impacting humanity in fabulous ways. If what we do can contribute to building people, giving them a framework through which they can become better people, grow, and become even more luminous, and then we have achieved what we're meant to.
Okay.
Whether I'm remembered, not remembered, that's it's not even the point or the talk or the topic, but to have been able to have been given by life the chance to achieve this, to contribute to the beautiful growth and evolution of the human being. That is what I truly want.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Paul, thank you so much for coming through to Creative Ghettos and allowing people to get insight to who you are and why you do what you do. Learn more about Ponguibou Studios and The Boy and The Cauliflowers on paulsika.com, right? paulsika.com. Or follow
Ponguibou.com as well.
and
actually.
ponguibou.com, or follow the Instagram page at Ponguibou, which is spelt Ponguibou. To find out more about the Africans who drive various creative industries forward, make sure to follow Creative Ghettos on Instagram at Creative Ghettos. My name is Kwanele Kunene. Join me again next week, Friday, from 2 to 2:30 p.m. on brandlive.co.za for another impactful show. Bye for now.
Harnessing the power of talk radio. Brandlive.co.za.